My name is Horace Huntley, and I'm a retired professor of history at UAB. I loved history from the beginning. I liked history because it was easy for me, and I loved to get the facts, and I could, converse with people about what was happening in the world and what had taken place. I met this guy whose name was David Montgomery. I'd never heard of David Montgomery. He was a labor historian. In fact, I had never heard of labor studies, because when we talked about doing history at that time, we were talking about doing history of the middle class and upper class, not the working class didn't have any history. He introduced me to labor history. And he said, "You're from Birmingham?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, there's a lot of history in Birmingham." I said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "I'm talking about working class history." Well, working class history. And my grandfather had been a miner. My dad, a miner for a couple of days anyway. But all of my surroundings was working class history. I told him, I said, "Well, I'm from the Winona Scooter area, where mines were, it's where people worked." And we talked about that, and he said, "Well, you ought to see if you can find some material on the iron ore mine district and the organizing of it." And I started to do research. I found a paragraph in a book about organizing in the iron ore mines. Another couple of statements, but there was nothing, I thought it should have been. So he said, "Well, that's ideal." I said, "But there's nothing out there." He said, "Oh yeah, there's information there. It's just a matter of your getting it and mining it." The best way to do what I wanted to do was through oral histories. So come and talk with people who were there on the ground, and that's the way that I got into oral history. Mine, mill, and smelter workers was one of those areas that needed the kind of information that was not in the textbooks, not in any books, but there were congressional hearings that people had testified at, talking about East School and Winona, and I was just amazed at that. They're talking about my hometown. Without the workforce, you don't have anything. And in Birmingham, the workforce was primary for all of the mineral industries, the district here. The only way that they could be successful is that you had workers that was doing a job and knowing what they were doing. Without that, it would be like trying to make cornbread without meal.